No te das cuenta que solo es a su conveniencia, a lo que quiere. Es un imbécil, es como para patearle la cara. ¿Me entiendes?
Que más le trae vuelta la cabeza un solo balazo.
Sí. Lánzame el strike, lánzame.
Lánzame a volártela. La voy a volar. La podemos quitarle aquí, ¿no? Porque está como que...
Oh, Dave. ¿Cómo estás?
How you doing?
Buenos
Buenos
días.
días. Hey, Vanessa. Vanessa. Hey, Vanessa.
Oh, in the back. I'm not gonna touch it again. Leave it there.
Ah, María, te están echando broma
Can you
acá.
help me?
Yes.
Tell her I did get that email. I just couldn't find it on the...
Que no pueden conseguir el email que tú le envías.
No,
So, thank you.
el 16, pero
I got it.
pero te lo reenvié ayer. Ayer se lo reenvié.
Right.
Ajá.
She resent it to you.
She did, but I found it before she resent it. So I was nervous because I thought, well, there's the agenda. I couldn't see the times.
Oh, ya.
Pero él lo consiguió antes de que se lo enviara. Él lo consiguió porque no podía conseguir la agenda.
Ah, ok.
And I didn't open up the program.
Que no tenía en el programa, pero ya lo.
Thank you.
Ok.
Thank you.
Qué bueno, gracias. Alexito, cansado.
Sí.
Never can have enough.
No, my God.
It's like, how many people are home? People love that. I know it. I'm like, oh.
Help yourself. ¿Quién falta?
Well, I stay with Odeo. They stay at the We are on the way to the airport. We're leaving.
Ay, se me perdió Mari. Se me perdió Mari.
No, Marita ahí estaba en el baño.
Ah, ok. Ah, ya la vi. Mari.
Sí, la escalera. La escalera.
Acá, a este lado.
buenos días. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is fine. Welcome to Peru. So let's start our Congress of the Americas. And let's start then with the list of participants. Canada. No, Chile. Colombia. Costa Rica. Cuba. Curazao. No, Curazao. Dominican Republic. Ecuador. El Salvador. Guatemala. Honduras. United States. Virgin Islands. British Virgin Islands. Jamaica. Mexico. Nicaragua. Panama. Peru. Puerto Rico. San Martin. Turks and Caicos. Uruguay. USA. And Venezuela. Okay. President of the 31 national federations, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 absent. So that we have enough quorum to start this Congress.
I'm just getting Spanish. I'm not getting any translation. Three.
For the English translation, please select channel number 3.
That's what I was on. I was on 1. Can you test it?
Testing, testing, testing. Testing, testing, testing. Are you listening in English now? Yes? Okay. Okay. This is channel 3. This is channel 3 for English-speaking people. Channel 3, please, for English-speaking people. And what about the Spanish channel?
En español, en español, canal 1. Español 1, inglés 3.
English channel 3. Spanish channel number 1. So, in addition to our national federations, we also have the presence of our associate members. Please, I'm going to call, and I am asking as well to raise your hands or say in present. Alice and Pan Americas. Okay? So in total we have 33. Microphone, please. Thank you.
In Bangkok, I made it clear that during the last few meetings, I wanted to make sure what was going on and the transparency and so forth. And I sent several emails in asking about the associate members. And when Congress approved them for a vote, and I never did receive a email back confirming, and I actually looked at the minutes of 2021 and 2023, and I never saw any approval on that. And if you could clear that up now, I'd appreciate it.
Contestando la pregunta de
So answering to your question, Divine, the two members associate were approved in 2021 during the board that was existing in 2016 and 2021, not the board but the one in 2016 and 2021 in the Congress of Panama, and it was approved based on the statutes on 2016 to 2020.
por esa razón
This is why
aparecen como miembros
they are associate members
del 2000.
since April 2021.
Was that a Congress?
Eso fue un voto del Congreso.
That was that the Congress?
No necesitaba en ese momento
At that time, the approval from the Congress was not required. The statutes
16
set forth from 2016 to 2020
decían que se aprobaba
established that
solamente
it was approved only with the executive board.
¿Alguna otra pregunta antes de continuar?
Any other questions?
Adelante, Garibaldi.
So please, Garibaldi.
Tienen derecho a votar.
They have the right to vote then. Yes. So I didn't finish what I was saying. Well, so we have 33 federations and associate members participating in total. We have 4 absentees and we have 28 confederations and active members to participate. So having said this, please, Luciano, could you please help me? Okay, I'm going to give the floor to our president, Mr. Tommy Velasquez, for the welcoming remarks to each one
Muchas gracias. Buenos días.
here. So good morning, everyone. Thank you very much. It is an honor to welcome you cordially to the 17th Ordinary Congress of WBSC Softball that is held here in Lima, Peru. This is a key moment for the future and present of our sports in the continent. This Congress represents more than an administrative meeting. It is a space as well for dialogue, cooperation, and shared vision, where together we will explore and analyze the successes, the challenges to overcome, and new opportunities that are open for the development and growth of softball in the Americas. We thank all the national federations present, our associate members, and our guests.
Su participación refleja
Your participation reaffirms the unity, transparency, and the spirit of team that characterizes our organizations. On behalf of the Pan American Confederation, I would like to appreciate the Olympic Committee hosting this organization, this meeting, and he couldn't make it. And also for the National Peruvian Softball Organization for the effort to organizing this event. So this is an opportunity to strengthen our
institucionales
links, our relationships, and to renew our commitments, and also to keep on building leadership, a strong support and sustainable support in the region. Welcome to Lima. Thank you very much. So I'm going to go through our agenda. So we call the list and the declaration of quorum at first. Welcome to all presidents on behalf of our president, Tommy Velasquez. Then we will have time to remember good people, good friends. Then we will approve the meetings of the 16th Ordinary Congress regarding an email that it was sent this month. Then we will have the reports of our president. Then actions related with the membership. I'm going to be talking about this. Also, this setting of our annual fee. To remind you of this, the consideration and approval of the meetings and the calendar, both the global and continental calendars. We will have a financial report, review and approval of the account statements, and a forecast of the budget and other issues that may arise, and we will keep them for the last part of our meeting. This is our agenda for today, so let's go then with a in memoriam, an eternal legacy to us.
Que vivimos juntos, los detalles, las pequeñas cosas, lo que parecía no importante, son las que más invaden mi mente al recordarte. Ojalá pudiera devolver el tiempo para verte de nuevo, para darte un abrazo y nunca soltarte. Más comprendo que llegó tu tiempo, que Dios te ha llamado para estar a su lado. Así Él lo quiso, pero yo nunca pensé que doliera.
Bueno,
Well, thank you very much to accompany us in this moment. So, continuing with the agenda, we have the approval of the minutes of the Ordinary Congress. An email sent on November 17th, and I will ask you your consent for the minutes approval. Okay, approval is being granted. Okay, Paula. Microphone, please.
I actually recommend these minutes not be approved. Based on Article 13.4D, that was supposed to be sent out 21 days after the meeting, and we just received these on the 18th of this month. So I recommend that these minutes are invalid and not be approved.
Se envió fuera de tiempo, es lo que le está diciendo. Que lo que él dice es que no lo entendí.
con menos de 21 días.
Con menos de
Bueno,
21.
días. Se envió, sí. Sí, pues se queda entonces abierta.
Lo damos a votación.
No sé si será votación o no. Eso hay que preguntar.
17.
11 días, sí. Sí, pues se deja pendiente para el próximo congreso. Porque si había que dejarla 21 días, pero se envía,
Ok.
Muchas gracias.
Okay, thank you very much for your clarification. Definitely, I sent that email on November 17th, 11 days before our Congress. So we could put that in the parking lot, pending for until our next meeting. So is that okay? Do you agree with that? Yes?
Ok.
So we are postponing this voting for the next meeting.
Vamos a dejar sin aprobación.
We will not approve it until the next meeting.
¿Está bien?
Okay?
Siguiente punto dentro
Next item in the agenda is the report.
del reporte de nuestro
The report of our president. I'm going to give the floor to our president, Tommy Velasquez, so that he could share the report. Please go ahead. Good morning, everyone. Sorry, I am standing up, but I cannot see the screen. So basically, our report started with this administration that started in 2021 when we took on this position. We started with a project that we projected for 8 years. First, to start building and then develop the initiatives of the strategic plan that started in the Panama Congress, based on these 4 pillars: development, strategy, competence, and branding. So for development, we started with continuous education, certification, Baseball 5. We've made this public and private partnerships, scholarship programs, talent identification, in the competition, a single calendar, a new model, Pan-American competitions. We used scale for the continental region, and we have a unified scoring system. We have this branding, streaming transmission, direct sales, web page, social network, and in the finance, we identified opportunities, etc. In the development phase, and this is one of the most important data that we need to look at. In development, this graph shows us where we are within the continent, what is our position. So this is how many countries, our countries, are really active compared to the rest of the world. And maybe you would be asking yourself what that got to do with the Confederation, but it's highly related because we look for opportunities for the countries to participate for qualifying events, for more regional events and more sub-regional events. So this means that we have here in the WBSC has 125 national federations currently registered. Within the continental America, we have 31 federations registered. Out of these 121 national confederations, America accounts for 25% globally. And this means that out of these 125 countries that are registered as national federations, we have, the WBSC has 63 that collects scores within the ranking, and out of these 63 countries, WBSC that are within the ranking, America has 24 of these 31. So this means that we have 38% countries participating in the ranking, and this gives us an effectiveness of 77%. And this is a very important data when we talk about development, because we are still looking for opportunities for the countries keep on developing. This is not done from one side. This is done jointly. It's a joint effort with regional and sub-regional competitions in multidisciplinary sports. And continuing with development, we have 4 countries within this top 12 world ranking. No se escucha. We lost, okay. Within the development area and training, we delivered 8 arbitration courses, 105 participants, 8 courses on scorers, and 36 participants, and the committees were training as well, with 110 identity. We renewed and modernized the visual identity with the logo, colors, and typography. We have an inspiring narrative. We use digital means for strategic marketing. We develop marketing campaigns. We associated the values and highlighting the organization's values with sponsors and general public. And with social commitment, we continue integrating our organization. We have responsibility programs on top of ALAS and Pan Americas and educational programs, because for us, the work carried out by these two organizations that we have as associate members, for instance, Pan Americas, that work directly with schools and clubs, and they'll reach where we as Confederation do not reach, and we get to the Americas as a whole. Then, for the financial sustainability, diversification of income, strategic alliances, efficient management, and above all, transparency. To keep a transparent management of the resources, giving a clear accountability, and this goes hand in hand with governance. So at the end of the day, looking at these four main objectives of four axes, so on the development axis, we have 30 objectives with 28 goals, with 99% reached or achieved. Within the competitions, we had 12 objectives, 10 targets, and we achieved 96%. And this is because of the countries that are not participating in the ranking, and this is one of our immediate missions. Regarding branding, we had 6 objectives with 5 targets, and we achieved 88%. And regarding finance, we had only 1 objective, and we achieved that through the governance area. That's the report from the President, and I vote for your approval. I ask your approval.
Por favor, una moción de aprobación.
So please, an approval.
Gracias.
Puerto Rico, supported by Venezuela, followed by Venezuela and Costa Rica. This is the motion for approval. And as part of the program, I wanted to
quiero presentarle a la
introduce Mrs. Melo. She is in charge of the governance, and she is the liaison officer that works directly with the governance office of the WBSC. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much. Sorry for my AC allergy. So, as President Tommy, I am Vanessa Melo. So, from 1-2 years, I've been the governance officer of the BSC of the Americas, but this is what gives us structure, processes, metrics, and conditions and regulations and rules that will be used for the decision-making process, not only in the finance part, but also in the development and integrity and transparency of our entire association. So what we are going to see here is a brief summary on how the WBSC world is evaluating us, and all the principles and indicators that all associations under this should be abide by. And according to a score, we have some economic profits for our association. So as I was saying, governance is made up of 5 principles, and each of these principles are evaluated by 5 metrics. So we have a total of 25 indicators in this whole governance. The 5 principles are transparency, integrity, democracy, development and solidarity, and control mechanism. The first indicator, transparency, well, the first principle is transparency, and as it refers, has 5 indicators that allow the general public, the federations, and all the members within our confederation to have the most transparent information and in an easy way. So this is posted in the web page. They can access this web page and they can look that information there. They have the statutes, rules and regulations, vision, mission, values and strategic objective, the list of the member federations with basic information, the annual activity report, etc. And, well, the financial reports with audits. So we have only conducted 3 rounds of evaluation, and it's important to mention this because this is a new concept that, well, it is not that we are applying this, but this is from a mandate by the World WBSC, and they've been updating this evaluation. So as we can see here, on the transparency principle, we've increased in the first round that was conducted from 2020-2021. We had a score of 9 out of 16 possible, and last year we got 15 of 20 possible, with a maximum score of the maximum is 4. It goes from 0 to 4. We have over 3 in 3 of these indicators. The second principle is integrity, responsible integrity, publication of disciplinary processes and decisions, gender balance, safeguarding against harassment and abuse, and conflict of interest policy. So here we have an important thing to mention. And this is necessary to be clear on this, and we are really proud of this, having this in the Confederation, because we were able to conduct anti-doping tests in the past, in all the competitions in the last year, and with the positive result that we haven't had any disciplinary sanctions related to doping. So this is a good reference worldwide. This positioned us very good. So the maximum score is 4, but we expect not to achieve this, because if we achieve that score, we will have then reported cases related to discipline and anti-doping. So we just wanted to keep it 1 before the maximum score. And in general, we see a growth. The first round in 2020-2021 period, we had 3 out of 16 indicators, and last year we are 4 to get the 20. We got 16 over 20. This was achieved within 3 years. So this is, well, these are the most important items for integrity, because as I said, we were able to conduct anti-doping tests in all our tournaments, disciplinary commission in all the different tournaments and competitions, and a disciplinary manual specific to each of the tournaments. Organizational democracy. This is one of the most important topics for governance. It's not only for the Americas, but well, not only for softball, but for all the sports, because we need to have a democratic structure that is sufficiently robust, transparent, and fair, so that all of us, we will have the best results from our confederations. So these principles, these indicators that are set by the WBSC. There is the election of the president and a majority of the members of all executive bodies, election campaigns, representation of the athletes, eligibility rules, and equal opportunities for members. All this is defined within the election manual and the statutes and other documents. And remember that all this information can be found in the webpage of Softball Americas. That's the main objective. All the information that is collected here and assessed here is to be accessed by the general public and all of you as well. For democracy, again, in the first round we have 5 out of 12. It was very, very low, but in the last round we got 14 out of 20, so we've been growing very rapidly and very positively. For development, this is an important axis as well for the Confederation. This is made up of clear development procedure and policy in place, integrity awareness, education programs, technical education programs. These are more specific, more aimed at arbitration, technical commissaries, etc. Publish information on the sharing of the development fund and the parasports. So here it is important. One indicator that during the first 2 previous years was not assessed, and in the second opportunity we got no score. This is this parasport, and we got a support from Colombia, the logistic support, and people from the arbitration and the whole event were trained, and we got a score of 2. So the idea is to promote this worldwide to become a reference. Next one, please. And the last one, the control mechanism. This is based on the types of control mechanisms that are personal, bureaucratic, from production or cultural. So the indicators are policies for internal financial control, internal appeals mechanism, event bidding process, risk management, and data protections. All these 5 are the control mechanisms that are internal and also external. On this indicator, on this principle, in the last round we had a score 7 out of 20, and this principle is under development still. Why? Because the risk or the risk control for the Sports Confederation is not that simple to put into practice, because there are many things around a sports event that are not measurable in an exact scale. So this is under still organization of the WBSC, and we will keep on developing. So to conclude my presentation, we can see a plot of the progress that we've been making, a significant progress. Each of these scores account for more money, more investment, for development, for training, or for any situation or need that the board may consider or considered by the Confederation. But I wanted to underscore the integrity principle that we went from a 3 to a 16 within a 3-year period. Okay. And there is also something important. According to the score of the WBSC, it is divided in 4 groups. The highest is A1, that goes from 80 to 100. No confederation is within that range, or that level. There are only 2 confederations that are within the second range, from 60 to 79, the Americas and Europe. confederations. And below that, we have all the other confederations. So we are making a good work, and we are a reference in governance. Thank you.
Continuando con nuestra agenda,
Moving on with the agenda. So moving on with our agenda, we are going to discuss now the actions related to membership. Up to date, we have two cases: the Cayman Island case and the British Virgin Island case that are not qualified. I will explain this for you to understand. According to our statutes, in paragraph 6.3, it says that any association, national federation, or body applying to be reinstated must submit a letter to the WBS-CAS seeking reinstatement. After notification of the approval of the Board of Directors, the National Association Federation shall pay the economic fees established by the WBS-CAS, a necessary requirement before its recommendation to the General Assembly of the restoration request, paying for this fee a value of $300. This is included in our statutes, and you can look at it in our webpage. In this case, the Cayman Islands, they submit the letter, they pay the debt, but they didn't pay the $300 fee. So we requested them a validation by the Federation just to check if they were active in their country. However, there may be a gap in this paragraph. This is why we are following our World Confederation statutes that provides as a requirement for a certification of the Olympic Committee to verify or confirm its active condition, but none of these documents were submitted, and this is the reason why we cannot submit to this Congress the reinstatement of this national federation. And in the case of British Virgin Islands, they made the payment, but they failed to submit the request of reinstatement, and they didn't make the $300 payment. This is again the reason why we are not submitting this reinstatement to the vote of this meeting. You have the floor.
Is they were a member, and you said they had to be reinstated, but they paid their fees. Why were they uninstated? Why did you remove them?
no, ellos cancelaron la deuda.
They paid the debt, but according to our statutes in paragraph 6.3, it provides that for reinstatement, they have to submit a letter seeking for reinstatement. After notice of the approval of the Board of Directors, they have to pay the fee, which is $300. And is this payment of $300 that they didn't make? And they didn't file the documents requested for the reinstatement. I don't know if I answer your question.
My question is I know there's other people that have debts and have came where they have paid the money. My question is what made them have to get a reinstatement and other countries not having to get a reinstatement? How far behind do you have to get in order to be unqualified? Who makes that determination?
Que cómo se determina de que ellos tienen que desinstalar.
Pues está en el estatuto, no sé cómo ponerlo.
Buenos días con todos. Tengo una pregunta.
Good morning. I have a question. If they are present and that they are accredited, why they don't have the vote if they have their credentials? If they are showing their credentials and they are attending this meeting, so did you make them to make this expense? I mean, when our federations, we need these funds, they made a huge effort to be here. And now you are saying to them that they have no vote. From a governance point of view, that's not equity. And this is like a lack of respect for a confederation that is present, that is attending the meeting, and they are not having the right to vote.
Yes, good morning. I'm the president of the UVI Softball Association. As far as I know, even to just last week, I was asked if our federation received anything about reinstatement. And the Secretary General told me no, she's looking through everything and she hasn't seen anything. We paid $1,700 to get here. To meet with, not just to vote, but to meet with the different federations who we have lost contact with over the years. We in the ECAS tournament in St. John, we had no problem. We paid our dues, but we didn't have any letter saying anything about reinstatement. We were never told that we were suspended for any reason. I think we heard about 2 other associations that had problems, but we were never one. So this is like a surprise to me, to my association now, and my country, who sent me here. So something has to be done.
And this is just a statement. I think that we exclude many people without trying to help them. It's just this is just my opinion. I feel like we are excluding rather than trying to get them together with us. And whoever made this decision, whether it's the executive board or whatever, I plead that they let these people vote because they went through a lot of expense just to get here. And you know, if we have to do something in the future to make sure that you know, the communication's better and help just help the people out. I was also one of those that I did not understand some instructions, and after re-looking at it, it was my fault. But when I first got it, I did not understand some instructions, and I asked for help, and I never received that help. And that's why I feel for these people also that if there's only 31 of us, the communication should be really good one-on-one to make sure these people are notified. And how can we help them? Thank you.
No, David no, dáselo a él. No, a David no a él. A este de nuevo.
Another thing, for instance, I was missing some of my logistics to sign up, and I was sent an email and telling me what to do, but I never ever received anything saying that your association needs to send a reinstatement letter also. So I'm saying, why you give me everything else to get here, but now I'm here, you're telling me that I needed a reinstatement letter, which we know nothing about, and I wasn't notified about it while I was registering to get here. It doesn't make any sense.
No, wait. Bueno. First, the break behind. Cuando nosotros inactivamos.
When we keep a federation not reinstated, I'm going to answer the questions in order as answering to the question of Dave. When we decided a federation is not reinstated or is not active, we do that because there's a long time that the federation has not any activity with us. And this is why we prefer to keep them inactive instead of removing its affiliation, because we know that if we remove its affiliation, right now the WBSC has recently approved an statute that after 2 years of non-paying the fees, the federation is immediately its affiliation is removed. So in order to prevent problems to the country that we are aware have a lot of economic problems, we just put them as inactive, because removing its affiliation would mean sending a letter to WBSC and the Olympic Committee saying that your federation is not part of this confederation. And that will be the end of softball in your country. But what we do instead is classifying you as inactive to give you the opportunity to be reinstated. Going to Marco, we previously had this discussion in Thailand, during the Congress in Thailand. And we clearly explained the procedure of reinstatement. And for answering our friend and President Glenn Maduro, on April the 20th, we had a meeting and we sent the statements of account of each of the associations and national federations. And in the specific case of the British Virgin Island and the Cayman Island, we make a note clarifying that their affiliation could be removed if they didn't remedy that situation. I understand that you make an expense, just like everybody did. I clearly understand that. But we also have statutes that have to be complied with. We have to be abided to those statutes, because even though it's true that they came here and then made the payment, in the case of British Virgin Islands, $4,300, and in the Cayman Islands, $4,000, and in the other over $3,000. All the national federations have to make the $300 payment. And so it's not a matter of what's moral or what's not. That's not the point. And we, as the executive board, we discussed this topic in several times, not only once, because as soon as we received the letter, his letter of Donald Paddyfoot, he wrote to me and he asked me if this was going to be a sort of new membership. And I told him that what we were asking them was just an evidence that his country was active. We didn't ask for any extraordinary or additional condition, just a certification of the Olympic Committee, just like the one we all have to do every year. You have to get a certificate from the Olympic Committee and send to them just to let everybody know that we are active. So I'm not talking here about special conditions. It's just a procedure.
El 1.
Good morning, everyone. As per the conversation between Tommy and I at a Zoom meeting, the fee was $4,000. The Cayman Islands sent $4,300. So you're telling me that we need to pay an additional $300. Secondly, in that meeting, Tommy suggested that we only pay and send in the reinstatement letter. There was nothing further required. Now you're telling me that we cannot vote after following Tommy's request? That's unfair to me and the other countries.
Para aclarar,
Just for clarification purposes, we are not the ones to give you the right to vote or not to vote. We follow an administrative procedure. The body giving to you the right to vote is the Congress. It's not me. The statute is really clear. We just read it. Okay? But we have to comply with the procedure.
I understand your procedure, Tommy. What is not clear to me is, as per the request, the fees was $4,000. We sent $4,300. So I'm already one step ahead of you guys as per your request. So you're telling me now that I need to pay another $300 when the bill was $4,000. We sent $4,300. Now, if you need a request from my Olympic Committee, I can get on the phone and call my Olympic Committee right now and get them to send a request.
realmente
We really are here not to separate, to make the division in this meeting. We are here to discuss topics and moving forward in our sport. I'm going to ask you, let's take a break. Let's get, and then we are going to get together, and then we get back to you. Garibaldi, you have the floor. Good morning, everybody. We, I mean all the people here, all the attendees, I think over 90%, we all are here managing our sport by vocation. In my case, I'm not paid $1 single, and I think that's the case of everybody here. We are not paid, not a dollar, for being here, for doing this activity. We are all friends. That's what I think. That's what I feel. Now, this executive board has this issue to sort out. We are aware of what the statutes provide for. But I'm asking to your common sense, Mr. President, of making a break so that you can analyze this issue. And I do expect that you, that's been managing this institution, can find a solution to this situation, because let me share to you an example. In the statutes of the Dominican Olympic Committee that we chair, provides that the member of the executive board that have 3 absences without any justification may be removed from the board. We never removed anybody, and there are more than a few that were absent more than 3 times, because the people like us who are involved in the sport, we have devotion. We do it because we are devoted to this sport. As you said, I believe, and I said all of us, we are friends. So we have to go through an election where we are going to have a winner, but we all have to continue working for the Americas, because we are not going to be out of the Americas. So I urge you to be reasonable enough, as you've been showing during your term of office, to find a solution to this issue. Thank you, Mr. President. And this is the reason why we are asking for a break, for a pause. We are going to get together the board, and then we will be back with you after making a decision, because as President Garibaldi already said, at the end of the day, we are Americas. We are the Americas. So please, let's take a 10 minutes break, and then we'll get together again.
¿Y por qué le estamos notificando nosotros? ¿Por qué no se le da?
Comenzamos.
Shall we start?
Luego de consultar hemos decidido
So after the consultation, now we're going to start the motion for the Congress to decide either they accept or not the reinstatement of Cayman Islands and then the British Virgin Islands.
Vamos a proceder.
So let's start the voting for the reinstatement of these two countries. So please raise your hand. Please raise your hand who are in favor of the reinstatement. So could you please hold your hand up? Who are against the reinstatement? Abstentions? Or refrain?
Ok, tenemos
Okay, then we have 18 people in favor of the reinstatement, 7 votes against, and 2 people in abstention, and there is 1 with no opinion. So, President, let's proceed then to include these 2 countries. They are reinstated in WBSC Americas. So they will be allowed to be reinstated. So once they pay the $300 and after sending the documents required within the 2 working
David.
10 working days. David Santos on behalf of Puerto Rico. So I am really happy for the reinstatement and given the opportunity to both the British Virgin Islands and Cayman Islands to vote. But it is very important to put this in the record because this is a precedent that we are having now, that this shouldn't occur in the following elections, because if we don't put this, there is the jurisprudence for the next elections that we need to make this same process and we need to go through this again, and it is too uncomfortable to go through. So I do not know this today, that this happened today, and this is it, and this shouldn't occur for the next congresses. This is what I am bringing to the table to the executive committee. in full. Yes, good morning, everyone. I agree, and I would like to mention something else as well. I would like to make this public sense. And the reason of being of all sports is in the development of the sports and the competition. So this is why I'm saying the countries need to participate in the events, and this is what the executive has in favor of the exclusion. In favor of the exclusion.
Tournament before we became a little bit inactive was 2017. In 2000 it was Oma and then Maria. Two hurricanes, two Category 5 hurricanes plus a devastating flood. The whole town softball field, everything will wash out until 2021. So we can't play no kind of softball. The next tournament we did, attended to was in St. John, which was the ECAS female tournament. So it was in St. John, which was the ECAS female tournament. So it's not that we wanted to be inactive, but we were semi-inactive. Wanted to be inactive, but we were semi-inactive. 2023 we participated. We were told that we had some deficit, but they still have part of the island. The whole of our country was knocked down. We never get any help from our mother country, which is England. So we had to do everything for ourselves. Help from our mother country, which is England. So we had to do everything for ourselves. We just started playing back softball. Thank you. So I thank you again for your support in reinstating us.
I too want to thank everybody for voting for us for our reinstatement. As the new president, there was a lot of things that was not handed over to me, so I was flying blind. Everything that we've done on guidance of Elroy and the other neighboring countries.
Thank you very much for everyone's participation. So let's move on with the agenda. We'll be paying annually for the membership. And next item in the agenda, we have as it is today. This is a calendar that we put together looking at the activities the WBSC has for February in Monteria, U18 in forward, and it is not in conflict anymore, as in the case of Peru and also the Central American, the Caribbean next year budget. So good morning. Before starting, so we excuse our treasurer is not here because of some health issues. Rolando Guerrero as well, our colleague, had some problems. Had some problems related to his health, and he is recovering. So I would like to clarify, and we need to understand, and I ask you for your help on this. Our confederation is registered in the state of Florida. It is incorporated or registered under non-profit associations or organizations, and the internal returns 503. This is a specific classification for the non-profit organizations, but through the governance office of the WBSC, we've agreed, as I explained yesterday, as I explained the ICAS group, We know everyone's condition, your condition. We know the costs that you have to transfer or the commission fee for bank transfers. So with that, we have a very specific and peculiar situation. It is that most of you pay your membership fee with the participation in the event, and this is paid in cash, and that money doesn't pass through a bank, and this is a money that need to be used to pay everything related to the tournaments and competitions. So one of our goals, in one of our goals, that we need to work as a group so that we can have your support in this matter, so that we are able to set a mechanism, and here I'm talking about many things, to set budgets, because we cannot make budgets or set budgets, because if the first event of the year is in the middle of the year, this is when money starts coming in. Before that, we don't have any monies coming in. So I need to explain this to be clear on this matter. For instance, this balance of the situation started with $141 balance in the account, and this is the beginning balance, and we will add to this $15,012 with 20 cents coming from the WBSC from the governance, as Vanessa Mel explained a while ago. Depending on the figure the Confederation defines, an allowance is allotted. So we finished the year with $15,153.61. And in this line item here, on the right, we see that the Confederation has revenues of $101,668.36, and out of this amount we have 7,500 for memberships, the Pan American qualifying sessions, male and female, these two, and the local rights or the venue rights, $20,000, and the deposit fees, $300. And we have an expense accounting for $86,656. And then comes the accounts receivable for the development program, the grants, donations, and contributions, the affiliations and memberships, and we have the game time revenues in Pan Am Sports. And from all this money, we will get just one amount, and everything related to the competitions stay in the competitions, and we need to make a certification for transparency and integrity reasons, so that this is posted in our web page, so the governance people from the WBSC can look at this and everything is okay. So this is, you get money from the competition, you will be filling in a format, a payment format. The person will get the money. This is a certification. There is someone, an observer, that will see that everything is okay. This will be posted in the WBSC website. Luciano, could we go to our WBSC Americas website so that you can see the certification I'm talking about? God.
Adelante, Dave, con la pregunta.
So Dave, please go ahead with your question, and we will get the information we would like to share.
And this is with all due respect, but we have never received this financial document in advance to review it. So it makes it very hard to vote on something that we haven't studied and reviewed. This is the first time we've seen it.
Thanks for your explanation, but do we have a complete audited statement on our account that we can look at? The total auditing statement from our auditors.
We have all details on the page. I will show you soon.
Scroll down, event certifications. With the events that we celebrate, we need to make this document to put it in the web page as a public document for everyone to see. For instance, this what we are presenting is from 2024. If you click on this, you will get the certification of the event as required by governments for the principle of transparency and clarity. Those are the expenses, and this is the certification. Director is the one that made this, reviewed by Mrs. Endo and certified by Mr. Toledo. So we need to do this because of transparency and clarity. These monies do not get to the account because everything is paid in cash, and that stays for the tournaments and events. And this is something that we need to improve. This is an opportunity of improvement. Yes, please, Michael, go ahead. I'm going to apologize first if I'm saying something that it shouldn't be said. When you say pay in cash and you have an expense, you have a gap, you don't have the amount credited, but you are invoicing everything on the name of the WBSC Americas as an expense, but it is not entered in the financial statement in the egress part. This is what I am explaining. So both of these do not get to our account. Nothing of that, because that is spent at the moment on the spot. For instance, what we are paid, what we get from the events, we need to pay the officers, the transportation, everything. Hotel, accommodation, that money comes from there. But they do not give me microphone, please. Who will give me that invoice? well, by repayment, and we have the evidence of the purchase of the ticket, so it is for fees in this case. No, because if you're going to pay for a ticket, you will go to an event, I'm going to repay that ticket, and you will give me evidence or proof of that ticket purchase. So you have receipts that you will give to the accounting area, but you don't enter the cash, just keep it as a cash. That will not go into an account, because if I'm going to repay you and everyone, that amount doesn't get into the account. This is one of the things that we have, one of the issues. This is a terrible gap. No, there is a debit and a credit for the accounting or the accountants. There is no gap. There is a proof that will validate that expense. But I don't pay taxes for that. We are a non-profit organization. This is why I started my explanation saying that we are a non-profit organization. We are a non-profit corporation. That's why we do not pay taxes. And here we will be mentioning about the auditors. We do not get to the return to be audited, because the internal revenues says that to be audited or to audit any non-profit organization needs to have a business volume around $500,000 and $1 million. But we get all this information and we send this to our published or certified accountant, this Floyd Green firm, for them to subject this information to what is called an e-postcard. It is an audit? No. To the internal revenue negotiation certified by a certified accountant, public accountant. Microphone, please. So the World Confederation makes constant audits to all the expenses the Continental has? No, through the governance department or governance office mandates or requires us to do so, to have this certification. So that's an audit that is made, and you have the approval from the world. Yes, we've seen the scorecard from the governance. So yes, because we are working aligned with them completely, because this was something that was mentioned at the beginning when using cash, and we have following all that has been required to achieve this goal of governance and comply with governance. Yes, please.
Original statement. I understand it was published, but I don't believe none of the members were notified where to go look at it. And so I just don't feel like we're educated enough to make a approval on the financial statements until we actually study it and able to look at it better.
Este estado de situación.
This state of the situation, or the statement of financial position, was presented in Barranquilla, and we provisionally submitted this and approved, and I just consolidated what was pending for the rest of the year, and needs to be voted if it's approved or not. And in our web page, go back please, close it. In our web page you can see all the statement of financial situation from us, all our financial statement position from 2010 to 2024, and you can also find as well those audited statements with the approvals required when we submit this to the internal revenue negotiation. This is submitted by the Floyd Green firm, the Rice accounting firm. And you can also find as well all the certifications of the events, of all of them, since we started the governance, when we were asked from 2022 forward, all these events are certified to comply with governance as they required it. Mr. Dave Devine says that there was no enough time, or this was not distributed or sent to be approved and to be analyzed. So I ask you, so I put you this to your consideration to either approve it or not.
Brasil hace una moción para que se apruebe. ¿Quién lo secunda?
Brazil is making a motion for approval. Who seconds that motion? Cuba, the Dominican. Who is against? Who doesn't approve? Ecuador, seconded by the USA. Okay, so let's go for a voting. Who is in favor of the approval of the balance sheet of the statement of financial position? Please keep your hand up.
favor.
17 votes in favor. Who's against? Please raise your hand if you are against the approval. 6. So the statement of financial position is approved. Okay, now we will continue with our agenda. After the report of the financial position, we are going to talk about the forecast, our budget. In this section, I'm just showing to you, for information purposes, what's the current status of the financial status of the Confederation as of the 3 first quarters. These are the revenues of the 3 first quarters, 127,550. And I would like to make an explanation here. We received from development and governance 16,250.
Anyway, we send the whole Congress to all of you, so don't worry about it. Okay, nosotros recibimos por gobernanza lo mismo.
So, just like Vanessa said, from governance, we received this year, so far this year, 16,250. Compared to last year, the 15,000 remaining from the balance sheet of last year, that was allocated, distributed. We sent a communication to the treasurer. Please show it. It has to be there. scroll down, please. So we sent out of the balance sheet of 2024 of the $15,000, which was the balance of from development, we sent a communication to the treasurer, who is responsible for the supervision of the funds. And we said to him that those remaining $15,000 were already committed for the beginning of 2025. In other words, please scroll down. It means that out of those 15,000 remaining from the previous year, please scroll down. We had $600 of administrative expenses, $1,700 for personnel, which in the aggregate is $2,300. Out of the remaining balance, we sent 4 starting kits to Jamaica, paying the shipping. Then to Bolivia, we sent 4 starting kits and pay the shipping fees. To Costa Rica, 4 starting kits. To Colombia, 4 starting kits. Likewise to Jamaica, Uruguay, to the Empire Commission, we sent several clothing items, and those are the shipping expenses. This is what we spent in shipping cost, 12,707.09 shipping expenses only. And we compare for the treasurer, and so we started with the 16,000 to 115,000 that were allocated for 2025. These are the affiliate membership payments, 3,000, the Pan American classification, 13,300 for men, for women for 45,000, venue fees 35,000, TV fees 15,000. In the expenses column, we have the governance that I just showed to you, what we sold to the countries. Through governance, we have some clinic that were performed in the Virgin U.S. Island. In the Pan American Championship of Women, we spent 38,000. In the Women Adult, 49,000. And in the other Pan American. These are our income and expenses to date. Now, after the last quarter of this year, we are going to prepare the final statement of final position, but my responsibility was to show to you what was the status to date, because this is one of the problems we have, to make a budget. We cannot make a budget if we don't have the income on time, because otherwise we can make a budget out of 31 or 32 federations, and that we are going to include that we're going to expect X number of $1,000, but if at the end of the day they are not in, that's the reality we have. We have to know what's the scenarios you are going through, because I know that it's hard for you. In Brazil, for instance, they prefer to take the money in cash to the field and pay cash there. In many countries, that's the reality. But we have to improve that, because it's not a matter of carrying the cash and then deposit the funds. That's not the way we should do it. I just want to show to you the status today, and then at the end of this last quarter, our treasurer will send to us all the financial information for the year, because in the last weeks and months we received several deposits that have to be included in the final statement. Finally, in our agenda, we have a miscellaneous section. there are several issues that were discussed in Thailand that I would like to share with you. I'm talking about some innovative topics for all of us. I'm referring to the players transfers. Player transfers. I would like to discuss about Olympic solidarity, how that could be beneficial to all of us. And then it's important to discuss these two topics because federations who have women or men players playing in different clubs in the continent, we have to fill in a transfer form and some fees have to be paid. But in order to talk about that, I'm going to give the floor to Mr. Isola to explain to us this topic of the transfers and the Olympic solidarity. Hello, thank you, Tommy. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, President. For us, it's very important for us to underline that in this baseball, softball, and baseball 5 are ready to have Olympic funds available. So I recommend May I continue? We are translating, yes. Probably it's a problem with the audio, but we are translating. So I would like to say that in this Olympic term up to LA, you all have the possibility to go to your Olympic teams and work with them to implement programs with the funds available. And there are many of them. The most famous one is the Fund for the Development of Teams, but that's not the only one. That's hard to obtain because there's only one per sport, per Olympic committee, but the other funds are smaller, but they can be requested. Any doubt that you may have, we are available to help you to fill in the forms, but the first thing you have to do is talk to your Olympic committee and convince them that they have to support you. These are funds that come from Switzerland. Those are additional funds that do not influence in the Olympic funds, and it's a way for you to develop the sport in your countries. I was going to mention a few of the courses available. All of them are published in our website, and if you want, we can talk one-to-one about them. The most famous one, as I said, is a team grant, the grant for teams, but there's also a TCC for Technical Commissariat for coaches. Hold on, please. There are other courses for athletes. Very interesting course is the DNSS, development of the national sports system that allows federation to develop not only trainings of athletes but also administrative staff, and these have to be requested to your Olympic committees. So any question you may have about these courses, please contact us because we are very willing to help you, to assist you. The other topic that Tommy was mentioning is the transfer. When the International Federation started developing this topic, the purpose was to protect athletes, to allow that athletes that were being transferred from one team to the other, from one country to the other, could stay controlled and provide a guarantee that can be supported by a continental or international organization. We organized a course about this in Bangkok in the Congress of the International Federation. We are ready and available for organizing more courses and more explanations to you, but we believe that this innovative topic that was not performed before, that allows a control for athletes, that's going to be favorable for athletes. What's important of what Victor just said is that you have to contact your Olympic committee. Each Olympic committee, we are lucky that we have two presidents of Olympic committees. We have Maria and Farah. In each Olympic committee, we have an Olympic safety officer, and you may apply to the sports scholarship, or to the trainer scholarship, or to the athlete scholarship, or any other assistance that may be used in our sports. The hardest is what the Victor mentioned, because it's a sort of contest where our sports will be competing with all other sports in our country, and usually the Olympic Committee grants that to the team that has more possibilities in the Olympic Games. But I want him to explain this to you about the transfer of athletes, because that impacts us directly. This topic impacts us directly, and we have to consider this carefully, because at the end of the day, our duty who have high performance athletes that are recruited for different tournaments, our duty is to protect federations as well, because this is affecting directly the federations. How? Because if I, as Puerto Rico, I'm asking to transfer an athlete to Cuba, that athlete has to be transferred. That's a continental transfer, and that's our responsibility. By doing that continental transfer, in this case, in this example, Cuba will have to pay the Continental Confederation a $100 fee. Now, the first thing we have to do is to identify who or what athletes are playing in clubs in other places in the country, because if that athlete is playing in Cuba and that athlete is required to go and play in Japan, that's an intercontinental transfer, and that corresponds to the WBSC. But what is happening in the Americas, it involves us. And we have to consider this carefully, because we have high performance athletes who are playing today with one club and the next weekend with a different club and the next weekend with a different club, and those are transfers that have to be reported to our confederation. And why I'm saying this, because to me it is important not only to have control, but where are the athletes? Because as I said in Thailand, I don't know who I was discussing this with. I remember it was with Rafa Salguero from Argentina, that for each transfer that is made, I'm paying 50% to the federation, because the federation is being impacted. Because that's if we have an athlete from the Cayman Island and wants to play to Brazil submit a transfer application and is sending $100 to the federation, and you are going to be paid the 50, because at the end of the day, it's the federations that are training the athletes, and that's important. You have the floor, Mr. President. That's a very interesting topic, Tom, and it's been a while that Alfredo and we've been discussing this topic with you. In our case, in the Dominican case, our men's national team, I would say that 70% of the team participate in the tournaments in Canada and the US. And the federation is investing resources in training those athletes, many resources, in fact. And the federation, you know, the athletes go participate in Canada, in the US. And if something happens, I have an athlete today that is in Canada and that he has a problem and that we are helping them. The federation is helping him. He was paid money and we received nothing. So I think it's very important that we organize this appropriately, that we have a very good plan to this, because this will be beneficial of all of us, of all the countries. Because today Dominicana has just a few, but all the countries have the opportunity or the possibility to have a high performance athlete that may compete in a different tournament. So I would like to have all the detailed information about this topic and that we can finally organize this, because in our case, even for the participation in the tournaments or events that we already have scheduled, we have to be, arrange. If the athlete is in the US or in Canada, we have to arrange all this. They are also traveling to South American countries, and that's very important, actually. Well, to me, that's not very simple. In fact, it's a very complex issue. This is something that involves agreements, contracts. First of all, we have to see where that athlete is playing, and if that club is a member of the federation. If that's not member of an international confederation or an American confederation, there will not be a possibility to charge that fee. Secondly, if there's a commitment involving a federation, that will require a contract, an agreement that operates as an umbrella agreement that protects the athlete. Because I'm not thinking about money here. The problem is not that if I'm paying or not. We have to think about the development of the athlete and the protection of the athlete. Let me give you a very simple example. Let's say that you have an athlete in a specific club, and then that athlete enters into an agreement between that club and the federation. And so I pay a fee to an ex-confederation. If that athlete goes to a different club, who's going to guarantee to me that wherever he will be playing, he will pay the federation or he will pay for damages? I don't want to get into, a complicated thing in this Congress meeting. I don't want to get into further detail into contracts. Cuba has experiences about this. We discuss significantly with the International Confederation about this topic. We try to find an umbrella contracts and many other things, but it's not simple because we don't. I'm mentioning this because I don't want us to focus on the money issue. Because if we are going to do this, we are going to take a larger commitment involving a contract that has to be complied with. And that will include training clauses, clauses for damages, and which institution or which agency will be involved in an arbitration. I mean, this has to be analyzed very careful, and that this requires meeting to discuss this among the confederations. And sometimes even having this umbrella contract, we cannot get a good results because you have some athletes playing with a given clubs and they fail to comply, even having the contract in place. Thank you, Reynaldo. We are just sharing the information. We know that the process is ongoing. We will be working hand in hand with the WBSC, and that's what we want, the protection of the athletes. That's our target. But this is a new project, and we have to continue working on it, but it's already an ongoing project. We started discussing this 1 month, 2 months ago in Bangkok, and this is something that we have to include in our to-do list, and we have to continue working on this.
The gentleman there. You mentioned if you want to access some of these funds, you go to your NOC. But sometimes your NOC knows who voted for them, and they tend not to give you what you asked for, the funds that you asked for. How do you go about getting over that, or getting around it?
Thank you for the thank you. Thank you for the question, and I agree with Maria here that it's more a question for an NOC than for an international federation. I agree that elections might affect the relationship internally, but that is the duty of the NOC to go with every member they are working for. The NOC covers all sports, so I think it's up to each national federation to continue cooperating with their NOC in a productive way, so that even if they didn't vote, they still can get benefits. And I'm ready to talk personally with any of you if you have some issues internally, but I wouldn't make it like a general rule for everybody, so we are ready to support any country in with any NOC.
¿Algún otro asunto nuevo que se quiera discutir?
Any other issue that any of you wants to discuss? No other issue? Then, there being no further business, the meeting is completed. It was a pleasure. It's wrap up. It's our duty to complete our duties here and to declare the vacancy of the position, to transfer the authority to the election committee. We're going to take lunch, and when we are back, the election committee will continue with the election process. Thank you to all of you. We are in 3rd floor. We will have lunch at 1 in the 3rd floor. And the meeting will continue at 2 p.m. And the meeting at 2 p.m. will be led by the election committee. Thank you.